Welcome to the All Life's Hats podcast, hosted by Tanae Hoffman, where we talk about all life's hats we wear. I'm a 90s kid. I say that with pride. I was born in 91, so that makes me a millennial, but I'm an elder millennial, so people chill. I have always thought it was cool living in like this age where I've lived through VCRs, DVDs, now streaming. Apparently I was around before the internet was popular, which I kind of don't believe because with my memory, it feels like we always had the internet, but the dial-up noise or no one can be on the phone while you're trying to get on the internet, I remember. I know how boxy computers could be, and now I can search Google on my phone. I was born before the iPod, which is crazy to me because I can't think of never having music, but I've always had like Walkmans or CD players in my pocket. And it's funny that now 90s is considered throwback, which is depressing for me because I'm only 32. So that should not classify as oldies. And it's also hilarious that certain things that I grew up with, my daughter has no idea what it is. So like the save button on computers, she just learned the other day is a floppy disk. It's crazy to think that I was around before cell phones were popular. Like instead of the brick, I can't live my life right now without a phone. And being a 90s kid and thinking of the fashion we had, it's kind of funny too, because my daughter just had a Spirit Week a couple weeks ago, and one of the days was 90s. And I, of course, me being Miss Over the Top when it comes to themed things, was looking up the outfits and I'm going, huh? Like the whole windbreakers and baggy clothes and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's crazy to think that's what we wore all the time. So I had to settle for something like a kitty shirt. Like she wore Hello Kitty to school because I'm like, that's 90s enough. But I miss like some of the TV shows I used to watch. But now they're bringing them back, which is interesting. Like Powerpuff Girls is really big for me. Like I had the coloring books, the lunchbox, the sheets. I had the DVDs at my house. I watched all the time. And it's funny, my daughter watches it now and she's like, Mommy, you had this when you were little? I'm like, yeah. And she's watching the original, not the new one that just came out, because we don't play that not watching the original. You must watch the original before you watch the new. Like, for instance, Space Jam. I'm taking a deep breath because I don't understand why they made a sequel to it. But I refuse to show my daughter the new one because I'm like, nah, you're going to stick with Michael Jordan and the original Space Jam. They didn't have to be remade. I've heard it's awful. Sorry, but I've never watched it for that reason. I stick to original. But some remakes have been good. Like I didn't have a problem with The Little Mermaid. I did not watch the live action Aladdin, but I don't like the music so much in it because I miss Robin Williams. But my daughter, for some reason, which is why sometimes I don't want to claim her, she prefers Will Smith's Friends Like Me to Robin Williams. I feel that's major blasphemy, but I have to get past that, but something's wrong with my child. But it's amazing to see how things have changed and stayed the same. And it's amazing how much stuff that people are remaking from my childhood that is not that old. Some things I'm excited for, some things I'm not, and some things I just don't understand why. Like I'm excited for X-Men 97 on Disney+. I'm super excited that they said they're bringing back Gargoyles because that is one of the most underrated animated shows from my childhood. Like, if you have not seen this cartoon, please check it out. It's on Disney+ or YouTube, but that is one of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid. Like cartoons we used to have is Street Sharks. I watch a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm on the fence about the newer versions of it, but my older brother, Ninja Turtles all the way. And I mentioned Powerpuff Girls. Classic Cartoon Network. I miss. I can't kind of watch Cartoon Network with my daughter now because it's like over the top, but that's why I don't mind her watching like class, like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, I would love to introduce to her. Johnny Bravo, which I don't will go over her head, but I think that show's hilarious. Ed and Eddie, they're kind of annoying sometimes. But there's a few common ones that came out recently. I like We Bear Bears. I think is funny because I like bears. That's one of the few ones I will actually watch. But Nickelodeon had classic. Nickelodeon was awesome too, like Rugrats, Wild Thornberries, all that, which I miss. It's like all that was our kids' version of SNL. Which now that I think about it, that really was kids' version of SNL. But I love that. That's the ones I remember. Like Speed Racer was not technically 90s, but I do remember watching it. But yeah, the shows that my daughter watched now is kind of, I can't say they're dumb, but then again, we had Cow and Chicken and Cat Dog, so it kind of can't say hers are dumb. I mean, a lot of the shows now she watches like Bluey or what's it? Gabby's Dollhouse. They're geared to kids, but they do have adult humor. That's why I don't mind watching it with her. But sometimes it's like dumb. Like some of the movies she watches now are good too. Like I've been forced to watch Paw Patrol, the new movie. That was cute. Or Trolls. That's funny because there's a lot of jokes in there she don't get. I laugh at, she doesn't get. Movies from my childhood, like this is depressing to find out, but Nightmare Before Christmas is 30 years old. Yet my daughter is just discovering it, and I'm like, ooh. First of all, I didn't think the movie was that old because I just finally watched it a few years ago. But yeah, you feel old when you hear like 25th anniversary of this or 30th anniversary of that. It's like, it's really been that long since it came out? All the classic Disney movies, Lion King, Little Mermaid, Snow White are all getting live action remakes. Say what you will. Some of them are good, some are bad, but some of them could just stay cartoons, in my opinion. It's amazing to see things progress, especially from my eyes and my daughter, just because she's only been around for like the newer stuff. Like she didn't understand like TVs weren't touch screens at first because she grew up with an iPad where she could just swipe. So we had to teach her to leave the TV alone. You can use a remote. She took a while to understand that people can't see her on the phone all the time. She can just talk on it instead of trying to FaceTime. She doesn't understand CDs because I still have some for my car. She didn't realize or know what it was or DVDs because she watches streaming 24/7. So it's amazing to see that she doesn't have the struggles I did per se, like commercials. I've never seen a child go into a rage with a commercial with my child. Like if she sees any ads, she gets so upset. And I'm like, girl, you could never grow up with me because commercials, if you know as well as I do, were bathroom breaks for when, or snack breaks for when your show took a break, you can go do something. But when it came back on, run back to the TV. And it's a blessing and a curse because I have to still teach her patience for things like the instant satisfaction with shows or movies or games. I've got to teach her it takes some time for it to happen. So that's why I guess it's great that I'm a 90s kid because I have somewhat patience for things. Ish, depends on what it is. Traffic, still not that patient. Walking in supermarket traffic, I get cart rage. But it's an issue where we live in this fact that everything's changing so rapidly. Now the biggest scare is AI, especially in my industry, like the chat GPT and stuff like that. It's scary because we grew up with like computers will take over the world, iRobot kind of thing. But as long as it's not used for evil, we should be fine. But that's also scary because we've also seen Terminator. But I enjoy being in it from a generation where we've watched everything evolve, and I can't wait to see what comes out or comes up next. Just please leave certain things of my childhood alone. I like to have the simple joys and the simple things that I enjoy where it's not remade or rebooted or have a sequel announced and it takes years to come out and then when it comes out, it's a complete bust. I mean, Incredibles. Incredibles 2 was awesome. Beetlejuice 2. A little bit scared. As much as I like Beetlejuice, I'm a little bit scared for that one. But other things, like, we'll see what happens. But I will forever be a 90s kid, and I love the 90s. Thank you for checking out the All Life's Hats podcast. Stay tuned for more.